ready to go here between British Columbia and Nova Scotia. BC is the home team for this game, so they'll be out in the field first. And we'll take a look at the starting batting order for Team Nova Scotia, your home team in this game. It's going to be Ellie McCauley, the center fielder, leading off. Ali Stymist will be batting second and catching. Julia Koningshofer will bat third and play shortstop. Designated hitter Carly Snow bats fourth, Carly Jackson bats fifth and will play third base. Jada Lee will be the left fielder and bat sixth. 7, 8, and 9 will be the right fielder Rayleigh Nickerson, second baseman Leah Copeland, and first baseman Avery Smith. As they're just announcing the... So we'll give you the defense for BC here. It's going to be we'll start in the outfield from left to right. Rain Padgham in left, Tess Sawkins in center, and Emily Fournier in right. Around the infield, third base will be manned by Vanessa McKinley. Shortstop, Emmy Seiki. Second base is Sarah Pangeli, and at first base, Stacy Fournier. Behind the plate, doing the catching this morning, morning, and then we'll be into the afternoon, Jen Gilroy. And on the mound, Michelle Roche for Team BC. And your officials for this game, behind the plate, it will be from Quebec. And I'm just gonna double check on the first name here so that I make sure I get it right. Millette. And I lost my sheet that has all their first names on them. I just heard the surnames, so now I got to double check and find that here. Just give me a second. I know I got them here. Where did I put them? There we go. So behind the plate, it is Tanya Millette of Quebec. At first base, it's Martin Stubbs of Alberta, and over at third, it is Skylar Blanchette of Nova Scotia, as we get first pitch at 10:57 a.m. Atlantic time, for those of you who care about such things. And the first pitch is fouled off by Ellie McCauley for strike one, and top of the first inning, sponsored by Baseball Canada. So thank you very much to Baseball Canada for their support of this event. Of course, this is a Baseball Canada National Championship, so of course they'd be involved. 1-1 now the count here on Ellie McCauley. That one looped right at the first baseman, and the catch made. So 1 up, 1 down. Stacy Fournier taking that looping drive and getting the first out of the inning. That will bring up the catcher, Ali Stymist. Stymist has had a very good weekend of baseball here at this event. Stymist takes the first pitch, grounder to second, quickly over to first, and it's 2 up, 2 down as Pangeli able to make that play routinely there. And we'll bring up Julia Koningshofer. Koningshofer, the shortstop for Team Nova Scotia today, daughter of head coach Mike Koningshofer.
Number 17, Julia Koningshofer.
As Koningshofer steps in to face Roche on the mound. Roche delivers, and Koningshofer just gets a piece of that ball. 0-1 the count. Roche gets herself set, and the righty delivers the 0-1. That just catches Koningshofer on the elbow. And so she'll head on down to first base, and we'll have the first base runner of the ball game. That'll bring up Carly Snow, the designated hitter for Nova Scotia. Snow from Summerside PEI. And again, as we mentioned, Nova Scotia, the majority of this team is from the Blue Nose province, but a few players being brought in from elsewhere because there aren't quite enough players at the women's level for each of the Atlantic provinces to have their own team. That one skied to the left side of the infield and underneath it and making the catch For out number 3 is Emmy Psyche. So a hit batter does not come back to hurt British Columbia, as it's no runs, no hits, no errors. 1 runner left on base. We'll head to the bottom of the first, and it will be British Columbia coming up to bat with the score still 0-0. Between the East Coast and the West Coast, it's BC and Nova Scotia here in semifinal number 1 at the 2023 Baseball Canada Women's Championships. Let's take you through the BC batting order. It's going to be Tess Sawkins leading off. She's going to play center field for BC today. Emmy Seiki, the shortstop who made that last out of the inning, will bat second. Rain Padgham, the left fielder, bats third. Stacey Fournier, the twin of Emily Fournier, who's also on the team, will bat in the 4th spot, and Stacey Fournier playing first base. Catcher Jen Gilroy bats 5th. Sarah Pengelly playing second base, batting 6th. Vanessa McKinley will play third base and bat 7th. Taylor Chenard, the DH, will bat 8th. And Emily Fournier, the right fielder for British Columbia, will bat 9th for Team BC. And they'll be hitting into a defense of Nova Scotia that looks like this in the outfield. Jada Lee, the star 17-year-old pitcher from Newfoundland Labrador, will play left field. Ellie McCauley, the center fielder. Raylee Nickerson will play out in right. Around the infield, Carly Jackson at third base. Julia Konigshofer at shortstop. Leah Copeland, who split her time between catcher and second base, will be at second today. Avery Smith at first base. Behind the plate, the other catcher who's caught a lot of innings for Team Nova Scotia, that is Ali Stymist. And on the mound, Katie Hagan for Team Nova Scotia. Hagan pitched as well in the first game of the tournament, I believe. No, she pitched in the game against Saskatchewan on the evening of the first, or let me double check that. No, Hagan did pitch in the opening game of this tournament for Nova Scotia against Team Quebec 2. And Hagan back on the mound here in this semifinal game. And the first batter she faces is Tess Sawkins. Sawkins takes the first pitch just a hair high, and the count quickly goes to 1-0 here on the British Columbia leadoff hitter, the center fielder from Victoria, BC. Speaking of Victoria, I'm going to be flying into there on Tuesday morning. There's a swing and a miss, 1-1 the count. My wife and I, when this tournament's over, we're going to be heading across to BC to spend a few days over on Vancouver Island. Looking forward to that. Should be a great trip. Sawkins, one of 2 players from Victoria. Taylor Chenard, the other. That one popped up, and it's going to land just a little bit behind our tent here on the third base side. 1-2 now the count on the BC center fielder, the 22-year-old. Or sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong line. The 19-year-old, there we go. Hagan gets herself set. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. That'll miss high, 2-2. Again, the winner of this game will advance to tonight's gold medal game. The team that falls a bit short will still be playing for a medal later today. It'll be the bronze medal game. And again, the other semifinal, Quebec won and Alberta. And there's a called third strike as Sawkins is caught looking. First strikeout of the day for Katie Hagan. That'll bring up Emmy Seiki. Seiki, originally from Tokyo, now residing in Burnaby, at least for a little bit longer before she heads home to Japan. The UBC international student. She, on the little survey that all of the players get to give us some information about them, put the sad face after the fact that she's going to be leaving Canada not long after this tournament. Spent the last couple of years as a student at UBC. And has Fouled that one off. The count now 1-1. Seiki obviously has really taken to being in BC and becoming a part of baseball in that province. And I'm sure Baseball Japan looking forward to having her back available for them for some national team time if possible. Here's a 2-1 count now on the shortstop. Hagen sets from the full windup and delivers. That pitch just misses outside. 3-1 the count. As we get a little bit of a wind blowing in from right field today. Most of this tournament we've had the wind blowing out. Today it's blowing a little bit in. Not that there's a lot of a wind, just a little bit of it. That one just misses high, and so the 1-out walk to Seiki, that'll bring up Rain Padgham. Padgham playing left field today. The other game that British Columbia played on this field, she was the starting pitcher and threw three solid innings, excuse me, for BC. And her pitch count limited in that game, likely so that she could be available for the gold or bronze medal game later today. Throw over to first, and Seiki able to get back in time as Smith made the catch and applied the tag, but Seiki already back to the bag. A little bit cooler today than it has been here at the tournament, thanks in part to the rain that we had overnight. See if I can get you. There's a grounder to the second baseman, a little bit of a bobble, but she got it over to second base in time as Copeland fed Konigshofer, and we get the fielder's choice 4-6 on the putout. So Padgham and Seiki will exchange places, and that'll bring Stacy Fournier up to the plate. According to what we've got from the Weather Network, the game time temperature 20 degrees, feels like 21. Stacy Fournier, we mentioned the twin sister of Emily Fournier, also on the team. Can't remember which one's older, but 2 minutes apart. And I'm sure whichever one is older lords that 2 minutes over the other one. Padgham fakes to run. Stymist came out of her crouch ready to throw, but none needed as Padgham did retreat back to first base. Strike called on the pitch, and the count 0-1 here on Fournier. Throw back, and Padgham able to get in under that throw. Hagen showing a good move over to first base there. Hagen a long look in. Takes the sign and delivers. That one ends up hitting the plate. Stymist having trouble finding it. Padgham's going to round second, a long turn at second base, but Stymist able to find the ball, so Padgham will have to remain at second. That pitch, the wild pitch, allowing for the advance by Rain Padgham. And called the ball, obviously, so the count goes to 1-1 on the left-handed hitting first baseman. One ball, one strike, 1 on, 2 out here, bottom of inning number 1. Time asked for and received by Fournier. The Twins from Surrey, BC in the Lower Mainland. Emily now living in Abbotsford, Stacy living in Surrey, so little ways apart for the 31-year-old twins. BC, one of the more veteran teams in this field, with Jennifer Gilroy at 33, Fournier sisters both 31, Chenard, Gilder, Seiki all 22. Three won the count here on Fournier. Takes ball 4. And the second walk of the inning puts runners at first and second with 2 away, and that'll bring up Jen Gilroy. Before Gilroy comes up to the plate, though, Allie Stymist coming out to the mound and talking to her young pitcher. Katie Hagan, one of the veterans on this team at age 23. From just across the way in Dartmouth, part of the Halifax Regional Municipality, and I know HRM very much like Pictou County. Within HRM, there are definitely the community rivalries, but once you look at beyond, it's if you're from HRM, you're from HRM. That one fouled back. And the count goes to 0-1 on Jen Gilroy. Gilroy, as mentioned, 33 years old, the oldest player on Team BC from Duncan. And as somebody who looks back at the age of 33 and has to look a little ways back to get to 33, I can make comments like being the oldest player on the team and still be jealous of the youth of the player. The ball ends up catching Stymist, and she is in a great deal of discomfort. Both runners end up advancing while Stymist was struggling there. And we'll wait and we're going to get our medical professionals out onto the field to help out here. I think that ball caught her right in the throat. Stymist back up to her knees, so that's a good sign, certainly. And it looks like Leah Copeland is being called in from second base. She's going to go into the dugout and get the gear on, so as important as this game is, it is a national semifinal game. The more important factor is the long-term health of Stymist, and hopefully she's going to be okay. Allie Stymist back to her feet, so that's obviously the most important factor here. That's great news to see. Okay. And again, you know, looking at the bigger picture, glad to see that Stymist is okay, but looking at the microcosm of this game and what it means to this game, looks like Allie Stymist, she's going to stay in the game. How about that? Allie Stymist is going to stay in the game but come out of the catcher position. So that is great news for her. Nova Scotia not even going to lose her bat, but she is going to move out from behind the plate. Leah Copeland, who, as we mentioned, has caught a couple of games in this tournament, will move in to be the catcher. So as a result of the injury there, Allie Stymist will move from catcher to, I think she's going to go out to left field, as Jada Lee has come in to join the infield. And just as I look around here, it looks like Lee is going to move to second base, which is where Copeland had been. So a three-player switch defensively. Jada Lee moves from left field to second base. Leah Copeland, who, as we mentioned, has quite a bit of experience at catcher, will move from second base to catcher. And Stymist will move from catcher to left field after that unfortunate catching the pitch in the throat area. but all of the players will stay in the game, just moving around a little bit. That one will miss high, and the count goes to 2-1 as we resume here with 2 out in the bottom of the first inning. Raiden Padgham did advance to third on that play. Stacey Fournier advanced to second. Gilroy still at the plate here with the count now 2-1. That pitch misses high, 3-1. And we are joined now by Jim Baba. Jim, we'll get your microphone turned on here. There we go.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
It's my pleasure. And there's a line shot, and it stays fair. 2 runs will score, and British Columbia will open the lead. Stymist, who just went out to left field, has to go out and ram that ball down in foul territory. A stand-up double for Jen Gilroy. And 2 RBI opens the scoring here in this semifinal. And Jim, for those people who don't know who you are with Baseball Canada, just introduce yourself a little bit further. Here, let me fix that up. The wires kind of caught up funny there. There we go.
Thank you. I'm Jim Babb. I'm the Baseball Canada rep for the event. I'm the former ED with Baseball Canada, but since retired, and actually got roped into coming out here by Holly Lapierre. So I'm out here to be the Baseball Canada rep, enjoy Halifax, and enjoy some great women's baseball, and it has been fantastic.
Well, if you're anything like me, when Holly asks you to do something, I don't think there's anybody in the world who's able to say no.
Yeah, and the pay's great too.
High fly ball comes down and lands, and nobody is at second base, so Pengelly able to make her way over to second.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Way up there, and the sun shining bright, and all the infielders conveyed, and then Katie had to go for it, and just not usually a pitcher's ball, and unfortunately she wasn't ready for it.
And yeah, lost it in the sun, like you said. That'll bring up Vanessa McKinley now with runners at second and third, and 2 away. Little surprised that Gilroy only got as far as third base there with how high that ball was up in the air, and there were already 2 outs. There's a strike. So let's talk. You're the former executive director of Baseball Canada. You mentioned you've since retired from that position. Let's talk about the state of baseball in this country right now, because not only on the women's side, but also on the men's side of the game, Baseball Canada is doing incredibly well.
They are. They've developed some great programs, and not just playing. We've got the umpires. We've got a scorekeeper program now. They've got some grassroots programming. They've got lots of things on the go. But you know, because we're here at the women's event, it's really nice to see the growth of the female game. It's been fantastic, and we now have 3 women's events: 16U and 21U, and this event. So it's great. The more you see it now, the grassroots is coming. There are more and more girls being able to play on girls-only teams, and that's fantastic. And I love seeing the growth, and it was fun being a part of it. Now I like to see what they continue to do as I've passed on.
And as there's a called third strike, that'll bring us to the end of the inning. Second strikeout of the inning. There were 2 runs on 2 hits. No errors and 2 runners left on base. We've played 1 complete. We'll go to the second with Team British Columbia leading it by a score of 2-0. Due up for Nova Scotia in the top of the second. It'll be Carly Jackson, Jada Lee, and Rayleigh Nickerson. And Jim, one of the things that I've been impressed with in this tournament, and my wife made a note of it as well, as she's been here watching a few of the games and really enjoying the ball. Not only do we have some great female players, but we've had some great female umpires be able to take part as well, as that growth has been happening too.
Exactly, and that's as I said, the umpire program has been really good with Baseball Canada, and it's starting to really develop some great female umpires, and we've been lucky enough to send a few of them to the Women's World event as well, and the World Cup, and they're getting their opportunities internationally as well, and now they're getting their opportunities opportunities nationally, right from the the 16U, or even at Pee Wee events. There's been female umpires at the the 13U event and that kind of stuff. So it's great to have that opportunity for the female umpire to take part. And not everybody wants to be a coach, not everybody wants to be a player, and some people can still be part of the game by being in the umpire program.
So you're the former executive director of Baseball Canada, but before that, you've been around the game in a long time. Share some of the different ways that you've been part of this game for so many years.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough I was a national team coach in the 90s. My first experience with the national team was lucky enough to go to the Pan Am Games in Cuba, and then in '93 I became the head coach with the team and did that for about 4 or 5 years.
As there's a leadoff single for Carly Jackson. So that opens up the second inning for Jackson. And I can't remember if I've said this part or not, but the top of the second brought to you by Hammonds Plains Minor Baseball. In case I didn't already say it, now I have. There we go. That'll bring up Jada Lee. And I don't know if you were here at this field yesterday for the game that Jada Lee pitched.
I was.
That 13 strikeout performance by her. Hard to believe that she's just 17 years old and was able to throw that game that she threw yesterday.
Yeah, I think she was. She had a tough first game,
yes,
and she was a lot more focused, and you could see it in her mindset. She was really concentrating, and she did. She had a fantastic game, and Nova Scotia needed it at that point.
I made the comment during that game yesterday. If there's going to be a first female ball player in the major league pyramid, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few years from now that she ends up being one of those players that it gets talked about as the first female in the Major League Baseball pyramid.
She's really got a nice delivery, and she's got some nice velocity as well. It's been mentioned many times, probably pitching in the Canada Games, one of the first female, or she was the first female to do that. So she's already had some fantastic accomplishments, and she had a great game the other day.
You're the Baseball Canada rep for this event. An event like this can't happen without great volunteers at every level, and of course it all starts with Holly. And like we said, nobody knows how to say no to Holly when she asks for something, but she's got such a great crew of people that she works with, from the scorekeepers, the announcers, the grounds crew, everybody. Can't say enough about her and all of the people who've been involved here this weekend.
No, she does a tremendous job. She's hosted a number of nationals when I was involved with the office staff, and she does a great job. You just look at the amount of people with yellow shirts on. You see the volunteerism she has. And
as that one's popped into shallow left field, coming in from center and making the catch, there is Sawkins, and they're going to get the double play as Carly Jackson got caught a little bit too far off. 8-3 on the putout for the second out of the inning. And unfortunately for Nova Scotia, a bit of a running miscue there by Carly Jackson.
Yeah, Carly, she was in between. Is she going to catch it? Is she not? And she took that extra couple of steps, and then it was just too easy of a play for the center fielder.
That'll bring up Rayleigh Nickerson with 2 out and now nobody on. I'm even amazed that Holly is able to somehow control the weather. I have not done an event with Holly where we've had the weather really get in the way. I don't know how she controls Mother Nature, but she does it. As there's a ground out, 4-3 on the putout as Pengelly gets the ball over to Fournier. So a bit of an unconventional 3 up, 3 down, a leadoff single by Carly Jackson, but no runs on the one hit, no errors, nobody left on base. We'll go to the bottom of the second with Team BC leading at 2-0. Due up for BC, it's hitters number 8, 9, and 1, the DH Taylor Chenard, the right fielder Emily Fournier, and the center fielder Tess Sawkins. And the bottom of the second inning being brought to you by Hubble. Jim, I know you're going to want to be able to get back, but if we can get you to stick around for one more half inning.
Gladly, for sure.
So glad to have you here. And the quality of the ball that we've seen this weekend from every single team, it just shows how much the game has grown. Every team coming away with at least one victory, every team facing at least one defeat. It shows that we really do have quality ball all the way across the country.
Yeah, and I think the competitiveness of it is fantastic to see, because when we started the Women's Nationals, of course you had that gap on some of the provinces have already had programs, others were just developing. But it's nice to see the competitiveness and to see the scores. The first day we had a few bad ones, but after that, most of the scores were in that 2, 3, 4 run range, which are always games that can come back, as you saw in last night's 14, whatever it was, 13-12 game.
13-12, yeah.
You know, like that game turned 7 times, and very competitive. And it's just that type of baseball. And I really, what I've noticed as the game has grown at the female level is the hitting has really taken force. There's so many powerful line drives now, and those doubles in the gap and doubles off the fence, and we've had 5 or 6 home runs, I believe, already, so that's fantastic too.
Only 1 home run so far at this field, but 5 of them over at the other field at Weir. So they can hit for power, they can hit for average. These are fantastic athletes. As there, Taylor Chenard fouls off the first pitch, delivered by Katie Hagan, and yeah, the future is so bright we have to wear shades, that's for sure.
Exactly. I'm sitting beside a couple of national team people, and it was great to watch Kate she's a national team coach, and she played for so many years. It was great to watch them, and now it's great to see a new young guard come up. Like we had a cycle of some fantastic players that played for a long time, and it's just kind of been that type of situation where they've moved on, and now we'll see a new batch, and I look forward to seeing them.
This is the senior tournament, but you look at how many of these players are 18, 19, 20 years old, and you know that this is going to be the core of all of these programs for years coming up to come.
It certainly will be, and you see the athletes here that are here, and it's going to be exciting for some that'll get named to the national team, and disappointing for a few others, but many, many hopes for, as you said, they're 18, 19, 20, that down the road they can get their turn as well.
And of course that national team is going to be announced after the tournament ends tonight. For the big tournament coming up in Thunder Bay in just a couple of weeks, a World Cup qualifying event. And for those people who are going to be in the Thunder Bay area or maybe watching from the Thunder Bay area right now, let's talk a little bit about that event and how exciting it's going to be.
Yeah, it will be tremendous. I was lucky enough to be asked by the WBSC, the world body for baseball, to go do the site inspection. Thunder Bay always does a great job. They've hosted 2 U18 World Cups, and this will be their first female event. They had a friendly with the USA and Canada there just last year, and they had 1,000 people in the stands for the 5 games. So, each game had drew 1,000 people. So they'll be there, and those in Thunder Bay, if are in the area, if you're looking for a great event, please attend that event. You'll enjoy yourself. The money will be well spent, and you'll see some great baseball. And it's going to be a very competitive pool as well. Canada will be in with Australia, Mexico, USA. It's going to be a battle to get in the top, and it looks like Canada will be hosting the combined world in 2024, so that'll be good for Canada's Canada already being in it, but it's still good to play the competitive games, and you'll enjoy the games, because I have in the many Women's World Cups I've been at.
You mentioned the crowd in Thunder Bay from that event last year. The crowds we've had here at the games here at Mainland Common and over at Weir Field have been fantastic as well.
They have, and that atmosphere of that game the other night, the 6-5 game, Nova Scotia, Manitoba, was fantastic with all the young players here, because they've had that female program going on as far as bringing in all the young girls to have a weekend here. It was fantastic to see, and it was a great atmosphere to be at, and I was enjoying it as much as everybody else was.
Speaking of the young girls, one of the nice touches that Holly always makes sure happens is that there is a young local girl who ends up being part of each team by being the bat girl, and it's so great to see the way the senior players really adopt those young girls who become the bat girls as part of their team, and really help to grow that game at that next level like we keep talking about.
For sure.
As we've now had a hit batter and a walk to lead off this inning, that puts Taylor Chenard at second base. Emily Fournier, who just walked, goes to first. And we're back around to the top of the order. Tess Sawkins, who was caught looking by Katie Hagan her first time up. So Sawkins comes up 0 for 1 so far on the afternoon. But Sawkins, like so many of these players, such a dangerous hitter. And this is something that it kind of new to me, is that a runner gets a helmet with a face mask on it when she goes out, and once she gets out onto the base paths.
Yeah, there must be something to that for them, and they've done that, and just want to, in her case, wants to be safe.
Yeah.
And you just never know what throws or hits, and that's what they're doing.
And like we saw with Ali Stymist earlier this game, there's a pop-up, and she's doubled off. What a play by Katie Hagan to catch that bunt in the air and then catch Fournier just a little bit too far off the bag. A big double play for Team Nova Scotia. 1-3 on the putout to end that double play.
Katie made up for the error previously, and it was just a bunt that got up a little bit too high and trying to advance the runners, and it would have been a good situation. End up second and third and only one out, but unfortunately for manager McKenzie, it didn't work out.
Tess Sawkins being asked to do one of the hardest things in baseball, take a high pitch up in the zone and get on top of it to get that bunt down.
Yeah, it's bunting seems to be a lost art, not only here, but in many cases, even in Major League Baseball.
And, you know, the high fastball, you know, bunting is a lost art, and it's especially lost when you're talking about trying to get on top of that high heat.
Yeah.
So that'll bring up Emmy Seiki. Seiki, her first plate appearance, she ended up walking and was retired on a fielder's choice. Seiki from Tokyo, Japan, so she's not eligible to play for Baseball Canada, but a good ball player as Carly Jackson makes the throw across, and that will retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. One runner left on base. We'll head to the third with British Columbia leading it 2-0. Jim Baba, thank you so much for joining us here in the commentary booth for an inning, and we'll let you go back and enjoy watching the rest of the game.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly my pleasure. So we're going to head to the third inning. Oh, there we go. We'll head to the third inning with BC still leading it 2-0. Due up for Nova Scotia in the top of the third. It will be hitters 8, 9, and 1. Leah Copeland, Avery Smith, and Ellie McCauley for Team Nova Scotia. As there we go. We do that. We do that. We do that, and our scoreboard's up to date. Hey, look at that. Top of the third inning brought to you by Tim Hortons. And big thank you to Tim Hortons, not only for being a sponsor, but for making sure that I'm well caffeinated, because that's an important part of the game, certainly. We're at the point now where that game over at Weirfield should be underway. Just going to do a quick check to see if there is an update. Still looks like they haven't quite started yet over there, so we'll try and see if we can find out some information on what is going on there with Weirfield. Just doing a quick check here. Let's see. Oh, nope, that's this field. As Leah Copeland steps up, as I pull open the stream from over at Weir, and nothing showing up as of yet, so they're still trying to get that field ready to go, obviously. As Copeland fouls that one off. Leah Copeland started the game at second base, moved to catcher after that unfortunate injury to Ali Stymist in the top of the first inning. There's a ball. So 2-1 the count here on Copeland. Nova Scotia with two great catchers behind the plate all week long. We mentioned Stymist and Copeland. Both have been really, really stellar behind the plate, calling the pitches and just playing very well defensively back there. 2-2 now the count. And that one catches Copeland just above the knee. And so the leadoff runner on for Team Nova Scotia here in the top of the third. That'll bring up Avery Smith, the first baseman for Nova Scotia. Smith, one of the homegrown players from here in Nova Scotia from Amherst. 19 years old.
Number 10, Avery Smith.
2 Amherst natives on this roster, Smith and Carly Jackson being the other one. That one thrown over, and diving back in safely is Copeland. Nice move to first base there from the pitcher, Michelle Roche. We talked about that event in Thunder Bay coming up. Lots of other great big Baseball Canada events. We'll go through those as the morning goes on, or as the day goes on. We're almost into the afternoon here. Still early morning in BC, though, not quite 8 a.m. And if you are watching from BC with your morning coffee on a Sunday, thank you so much for joining us. It's an early start to the day, but we appreciate you being here with us on AO Live through Baseball Canada. Runner going, throw down, gets there in time, but not able to make the catch on the throw was Pengelly, and that allows Copeland to get in safely on the steal. 1-1 the count on Avery Smith at the plate. And that's one thing about this Nova Scotia team. They are not going to be afraid to run. They will be aggressive on the base paths and will keep the other team, in this case Team BC, having to stay focused when they've got runners on base. 2-1 now the count on Avery as that Avery Smith, excuse me, as that pitch misses outside. The righty Roche gets herself set. Couple of looks back at Copeland. Now she'll deliver. And another ball outside, 3-1. Nova Scotia no runs on 1 hit so far. British Columbia 2 runs on 2 hits here as we play in the top of the 3rd. Here comes the throw, swung on and missed. And that'll run the count full to the Nova Scotia first baseman. A reminder, the winner of this game goes to tonight's gold medal game, tentatively scheduled for an 8:30 Atlantic start time. If it's BC who's playing in it, that means it'd be 4:30 over on the West Coast. Even if BC's not playing in it, it's still 4:30 on the West Coast. Avery Smith swings through that one, and the count runs to a strikeout. So first strikeout for Roche at the mound, and brings us back around to the top of the order for Ellie McCauley. McCauley looped a liner to the first baseman, Stacy Fournier, to lead off the game back in the top of the 1st. McCauley steps up here with Copeland at second and 1 away. That pitch will miss outside, ball 1, 1-0. Top of the 3rd inning. Oh yeah, I already did that one. Okay, we're good. The 1-0 pitch. Lined through the middle of the infield, and such a hard hit ball. Copeland can't get any further than third base. But it does put runners at the corners with 1 out, and will bring up Allie Stymist. Stymist having a word with the BC catcher Gilroy, talking about that incident from the 1st inning, and Gilroy and Stymist, a nice little handshake there to show the true camaraderie between athletes. The expression, you know, adversaries but not enemies, so true in all sport, but particularly in a sport like baseball, where you know, it's so many individual battles throughout the course of a game, but the respect that the players have for one another and the admiration that they have for knowing what each other is going through. There's a throw over to first, and just getting in under the tag is McCauley. Stymist grounded out to Pengelly, her first time up, so she's 0 for 1 on the game. And we talked about it before, but it's worth saying again, Allie Stymist showing that toughness to stay in the game after she took that ball to Looked like it did catch her right in the throat. Another throw over to first. And McCauley again able to dive in safely. And McCauley keeps that hand on the bag until she looks up at the umpire, gets time, and then she waits, and then she makes sure she gets up, but not getting up until she clearly had the time call from the umpire. We saw it once in one of the games yesterday where there was a fake throw back to the pitcher and a tag out on a play similar. Runner going this time, and they throw it down to third, but a good heads-up play by Copeland to make sure that she stayed at the bag. So McCauley gets the steal, the throw down to third to keep Copeland there and keep the score 2-0, but now 2 runners in scoring position for Stuyvesant. Still 1 away here, top of inning number 3. That pitch misses low, 2-0 the count. Or 1-1. It says 2-0 on the scoreboard, but 1-1 the indication from the umpire, so we'll go with that. There's a grounder left side of the, or right side of the infield, gathered up by Fournier, gets it over to Roche, but it will drive in a run, so Nova Scotia is on the board with an RBI ground out by Ali Stuyvesant. 3-1 on the putout. And Nova Scotia now trails it 2-1 as Leah Copeland comes in to score. Ellie McCauley gets to third on the play, and Julia Konigshofer comes up to plate. She's coming up for her first official at-bat, as her previous plate appearance she was hit by a pitch. Takes the first pitch for a ball, 1-0 the count. Nova Scotia now 1 run on 2 hits. BC 2 runs on 2 hits here as we play in the third. That one popped into foul territory. That'll get out of play above the stands on the first base side. Beautiful set of stands here at Mainland Common. A fantastic facility to watch a ball game here. And that one will be lined through the left side of the infield, and that will tie up the ball game. Julia Konigshofer with an RBI single, and Nova Scotia ties it up 2-2. McCauley comes in to score, and we are all square. That'll bring up Carly Snow. Snow popped out to the shortstop. Is that a 6 or an 8? I can't even read my own writing. Or is that a 3 even? No, that's a 6. Okay. Like the story I told earlier in the tournament, when I was in grade 2, my printing was so bad they almost held me back and made me repeat grade 2. And you can hear why. There's a grounder. That'll be picked up by Pengelly over to first in time for the third out of the inning, but not before Nova Scotia puts 2 on the board to tie up the game. 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. We will go to the bottom of inning number 3 with the score tied at 2 runs apiece. Due up in the bottom of the third for British Columbia, the heart of the order, 3, 4, and 5. It's Rain Padgham, Stacey Fournier, Jen Gilroy, and if anybody gets on, then Sarah Pengelly to continue the inning. Trying to see if we can get an update on what's going on over at Weir Field. And it looks like they are started up now. Ontario 2 against Ontario 1. The developmental team for Ontario against the senior quote-unquote A team, if you want to use that expression. Ontario 2 batting in the top of the first. They've scored 1 run, so that game just underway. And Ontario 2 out in front. And again, if you want to flip back and forth between games, you can do so all day long here on AOTV. Just head back out to the main AOTV screen and select the other field, or have one field open in one tab, one field open in another window, and you can watch both games all day long, but of course keep our audio on. Give huge credit to Vern over at the other field who's been doing the play-by-play. He's had Chase with him most of this weekend. Of course, we had Chase here for a couple of games yesterday. As Rain Padgham comes up to bat, she reached on a fielder's choice and came around to score her first time up back in the first inning, so she is 0 for 1, but does have that run scored. And the first pitch to Padgham catches the outside corner, 0-1 the count. We mentioned that there are a bunch of other Baseball Canada events going on this summer, and we'll start with the 2 women's events as the count goes to 1-1. The 16U girls event will be taking place near the end of the summer, August 24th to 27th in beautiful Summerside, Prince Edward Island. Summerside PEI, of course, the home of Carly Snow, part of Team Nova Scotia here this weekend. And the 21U women's event also going to be taking place here in Atlantic Canada over on the Rock, August 10th to 13th in St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador. That'll be a great event as well. As a line shot, but Julia Konigshofer lined up just about perfectly. I don't think she even had to move her feet to make that catch. Perfectly positioned on that one for the first out of inning number 3, the bottom half of inning number 3. For the male side of the schedule, the 13U national event will take place in Woodstock, Ontario from August 24th to 27th. First pitch to Stacy Fournier, misses high. Fournier reached on a walk and came around to score the second of the 2 runs for BC in that inning. The Ray Carter Cup, the 15U event for Baseball Canada on the male side. That pitch misses and the count goes to 2-0. Will be the same dates, August 24th to 27th in Laval, Quebec. The 17U Baseball Canada Cup will be August 9th through 13th in Regina, Saskatchewan. The 18U event in Fort McMurray, Alberta, August 17th to 20th. The 22U men's event taking place August 3rd through 6th in Stonewall, Manitoba, as Stacy Fournier takes her second walk of the game. That'll put a runner in first with 1 out and bring up Jen Gilroy, the catcher. The 22U men's event in Stonewall, I mentioned that one, and the senior men's event August 24th to 27th in Red Deer, Alberta. So there's your schedule. And then there are 2 13U events, regional events. The Western will also be in Fort McMurray at the same time as the 18U event. That's August 17th to 20th. And then the National Atlantic event for 13U will be in Fredericton, New Brunswick, September 7th to 10th. And you can find out information about all of those tournaments at baseball.ca/baseball-canada-championships. And Baseball Canada, a fantastic organization running events right from 13U all the way up so that players get a chance to experience national level baseball right from the early going. And a huge shout out to everyone at Baseball Canada, as well as everyone at all of the various provincial organizations who help to make each team at each of those events a success. There's a swing and a foul tip, and the count goes to 2-2 here on Gilroy. Gilroy doubled her first time up, and that double drove in 2 runs. And another hard hit ball out to left field, and it curves just foul. So the count will remain 2-2 with 1 on, 1 out here. Bottom of the 3rd inning, the score tied at 2-2. So deuces all over the place. 2 runs for each team, 2-2 the count. Here comes the next 2-2 pitch. That'll miss low. 3-2, running the count full. Three and two, 1 away. Swung on and missed. And Gilroy gives a little tip of the hat to Hagen as she turns around there for Hagen. That's her third strikeout of the still morning for a couple more minutes. Sarah Pengelly steps in. She's 1 for 1 with a single. Pengelly from Burnaby, BC. That one misses low. Copeland able to find it in her feet. Or it's called a strike. 0-1 the count. So the 1-out walk to Fournier keeps her at first base still. That pitch misses outside. 1-1 now, the count on Pengelly. That one fouled back into the screen, and the count goes to 1-2. Or no, it's 2-1. So it was 2-0. It's now 2-1. I thought the first pitch missed low, but that one gets through Copeland, and it'll allow Fournier to get down to second. Good hustle by Stacy Fournier. The first baseman gets to second. And that pitch also did miss low, so the count now goes to 3-1. Katie Hagen sets and delivers. And there's a called strike 2. So a full count on the number 6 hitter, Sarah Pengelly, wearing number 6. And those of you who know baseball history, some of the teams, when numbers first started getting put on uniforms, the number that was worn was the indication of where you were in the batting order, which is part of why Babe Ruth wore number 3, because he was often third in the batting order. Vanessa McKinley steps in. She is one of the 3 strikeout victims for Hagen so far. And we're going to get a quick meeting at the mound here first. Not sure what Mike Konigshofer is saying to Copeland there, but had a couple of words for her as they made their way to the mound. I can sometimes read lips, but it was a little too far away. Just a quick word and right back to the dugout again. So Katie Hagen will get herself set here with 2 on, 2 out. Bottom of the 3rd inning of a tie ball game. If you're just tuning in, British Columbia scored 2 in the 1st, Nova Scotia scored 2 in the 3rd, and we are playing in the bottom of inning number 3. That pitch misses outside, 1-0. If you're tuning in expecting the second of our semifinal games between Quebec and Alberta, we did have a rain delay with a lot of rain overnight, so it took them a little while to get the field ready to go this morning. We were originally scheduled to start at 9 o'clock in this game between BC and Nova Scotia. They ended up changing the start time to 10:30, and it took a little bit longer to get the field ready. So first pitch actually came at 10:58 for those of you who, pay attention to such things. That pitch knocked down in the dirt, and then Copeland throws the ball over the head of the third baseman, Jackson, but a great job by Julia Konigshofer to back up Jackson on that throw. Both runners still do advance. And that puts 2 in scoring position here, with the count 3-0 on Vanessa McKinley. So McKinley with a big chance to try and give BC back the lead here. There's a strike, and the count goes to 3-1. And here comes the 3-1 pitch. Grounded right at the first baseman, knocked down there by Smith. She'll get over and touch the bag, and that will do it for the inning. So 2 walks in the inning do not end up hurting Team Nova Scotia. No runs, no hits, no errors, 2 runners left on base. We'll go to the 4th with the score tied at 2 apiece. We're going to take a quick break here as far as the play-by-play goes. I'll be stepping away for just a second. I'll be right back.
For BC in the bottom of the 3rd, there were no runs, no hits, no errors, 2 runners left on base. The score after 3 complete innings of play, Nova Scotia 2, British Columbia 2. The Nova Scotia pitch count was 26 for a total of 67. Number 7, Carly Jackson.
As we're back for the top of the 4th inning, Carly Jackson at the plate. She fouls that one off, so the count goes to 1-2. Due up in this inning, it is Carly Jackson leading off, followed by Jada Lee and Rayleigh Nickerson. Anybody gets on, then it will be Leah Copeland. And the top of the 4th inning sponsored by Baseball Nova Scotia. That one lined over the head of Seiki out to left center field. Gathering it in is Sawkins, and she quickly turns and gets it right back to the infield. But a leadoff single for Carly Jackson makes her 2 for 2 on the day. And that will bring up Jada Lee. Lee flew out to center her first time up. Ended up being a double play as Jackson got caught off of second base. There's a strike and the count 0-1. Jackson gets her lead off first. Here comes the pitch. Called strike 2. So now Lee's going to have to defend that plate. Here with the 0-2 count. Roche gets set, throws over to first, and Jackson able to dive back in safely. Jackson might win the award for dirtiest uniform by the end of this weekend. There's a hard hit ball into left center. It gets cut off by Padgham just about to the wall. Jackson will get in safely to third. Lee gets to second with a stand-up double. And Nova Scotia off to a good start here in the top of the 4th inning. Hits from the first 2 batters. Carly Jackson a single, Jada Lee a double, and Rayleigh Nickerson coming up, looking to continue the inning in a positive way for Team Nova Scotia. As Eric Fougier missed his wake-up call, but he's finally going to join us here in the top of inning number 4. It took a while, but I get my color commentator finally. Good morning, Eric.
Bonjour, bonjour, how are you?
Ça va bien, ça va bien. 1-0 the count here on Rayleigh Nickerson. And Eric, I know you were here for part of that game last night. It was a wild one.
Yeah, I watched it on the way home, and I was giving Chase his opportunity there to be your color dude.
And Chase Leslie, you and I are going to be able to say we knew him when.
You knew him when, yeah.
Yeah. He's got a bright future in broadcasting, a really nice young man, only 13 years old, and studies the game so well.
Well, I was very impressed that he showed up with a binder ready. He had made his home. He had done his homework. Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's as diligent with his regular homework, but...
That one popped up into foul territory. Over to make the catch is the first baseman, Stacy Fournier, for the first out of the inning. And I know you're just getting here, Eric, so I'll help get you caught up.
I'm caught up.
It was 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning for Team BC, 2 runs in the top of the third for Nova Scotia to get us to where we are, the 2-2 tie here in the fourth. And Leah Copeland coming up to bat right now. She was hit by a pitch in the in the third inning, her first plate appearance. So she comes up, still this her first official plate appearance. Oh, I'm hearing the game back.
Oh, hold on. This might be it.
There we go, yeah. Okay, so you were watching your way here.
I was watching on my way here.
Good.
Yeah, unfortunately I had some responsibilities this morning I could not dodge, but I'm here now.
Priorities, man, priorities.
I know.
As there's a strike and the count goes to 2-1 on Copeland. We're seeing a very good pitching matchup here between Katie Hagan of Team Nova Scotia and Michelle Roche of Team BC so far. For BC, 2 runs on 2 hits. For Nova Scotia, 2 runs on 5 hits at this point. 3-1 now the count on Copeland. And
I heard Steinmetz had been injured.
Yes, there was a pitch in the dirt that came up, bounced, caught her right in the throat. She stayed in the game, but she's no longer catching. They moved her from catcher to left field. And then the very next pitch, and she was down for a little while, the very next pitch was a hit out to left field. So she had to go and chase the ball down. But you know as well as I do that Allie Steinmetz, you can't get her out of a lineup.
No. I think she'd play with a broken leg.
She probably would. As the walk to Copeland loads the bases, that'll bring up Avery Smith, the number 9 hitter in the Nova Scotia batting order. Smith 0 for 1 with a strikeout so far today. As we play here. Oh, yes, there is 1 out, yeah. I've been doing well keeping up on getting all the buttons pressed, but...
I'll help out.
There we go. There's a called first strike right at the knees to Smith, as mentioned, 0 for 1.
Nice pitch by Roach.
The only strikeout so far by Roach was when Smith was up back last inning. That one high in the air.
Run.
Calling it is Sawkins. Sawkins with a good arm, and Jackson wisely chooses not to challenge that arm. We've seen Tess Sawkins a few times in this tournament. We only saw BC here for 1 game through the round robin, but in that game against Quebec, we saw that arm from Sawkins a couple times.
Absolutely, you're completely right. And I caught the tail end of yesterday's game that BC was playing against Ontario 1. Ontario won that game with a grand slam.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought they were at the top of the inning, but still, came back with a grand slam.
There's a liner right at McKinley. And that hit from liner from Macaulay ends the inning. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and the bases left loaded for Nova Scotia. And this one, unfortunately for Nova Scotia, when this game comes to an end, depending on how it plays out, they might look at
those periods. Yeah,
they might look at this top of the fourth as a what if or if only. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth with the game tied up still at 2 runs apiece. Due up for BC in the bottom of the 8th inning, or bottom of the 4th inning. It is Taylor Chenard, Emily Fournier, and Tess Sawkins. It was hitter number 8. That's where the 8th came in from.
There you go.
And the sponsor for the bottom of the 4th inning, a proud contributor to this event, Oxford Learning. And of course, with my other job being a teacher, I appreciate Oxford Learning and all the work that they do to help out those students who might sometimes have just a little bit of need for just a little bit of extra help.
Absolutely. I think they're a great organization. Anybody that helps kids is okay by me.
And let's talk a little bit more about the second semifinal while we've got a chance here. Quebec won against Alberta.
Yep.
Alberta in that game because of that wild matchup last night, 13 to 12. Alberta was leading almost all the way through, but then Saskatchewan tied it up in the bottom of the fifth. Alberta retook the lead in the top of the sixth. Saskatchewan took the lead in the bottom of the sixth, and then Alberta took the lead back in the top of seven. Saskatchewan mounted a comeback in the bottom of seven, but was not able to finish it off. And so that's how Alberta gets into that second semifinal against Quebec coming up next. That is going to be such a hard-fought game.
I believe so. I think Alberta got here the long way around, but yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a hard-fought game. From having seen both those teams very well matched, I think it's going to be a really great game.
And originally that game would have been starting about 10 minutes ago if you look at the very original schedule. And of course everything got pushed back by about 90 minutes because of all the rains we had here in the Halifax area overnight. And then this game ended up starting even almost half an hour after that. So we are a little bit behind schedule here. So if you're just tuning in looking for Alberta and Quebec, it will happen. Just not yet. We have to get through this first semifinal first, and we are in the bottom of the fourth inning between British Columbia and Nova Scotia. And if you had said before the tournament started, one of the top seeds, BC, is going to be in the semifinal, we would have gone, yeah, okay.
Sure.
And Nova Scotia is going to come out of Pool B as the number one team in Pool B. We would have said, okay, yeah, you know, maybe not.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of hometown pride.
Yeah.
You know, you want to make good in front of your family.
But if you had said that, okay, we're going to be in the bottom of the fourth inning between one of the top teams in the country in BC and this team from Atlantic Canada that doesn't have the same player base, doesn't have the same pedigree.
Population as well.
And it's going to be 2-2 in the bottom of the fourth. I would have said that head coach Mike Konigshofer and the rest of the Nova Scotia bench would have gone, yeah, we'll take it.
They clearly must have sacrificed some chickens or something to get here, if anybody has the reference to Major League.
Oh, yes. Joe Boo need new bat.
There you go. Wake up, bat.
As a one-out single by Fournier puts,
Nice drive right over
one on and one out. That'll bring up Tess Sawkins. Sawkins 0 for 2 so far. She struck out to start the bottom of the first inning, struck out looking, one of now 4 strikeouts delivered by Katie Hagen. And then she tried to lay down a bunt but couldn't get on top of the high heat from Hagen. Hagen able to make the catch on the popped up bunt and then was able to double off the runner Emily Fournier. So Sawkins 0 for 2 on the day and now down in the count 0-1.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
There we go.
Player stats.
So 0-1 the count on Sawkins, who delivered that great throw from center field in the top of the fourth to keep Carly Jackson at third base. That pitch just misses outside. 1-1 now the count. And the Battle of Ontario going on over in Weirfield. And that game, the loser of that game will finish 7th. The winner of that game will play Saskatchewan for 5th and 6th. There's a hard hit ball.
Ooh.
And what a catch by Allie Stymist.
Maybe it was a good thing she got injured. Wow, laid out, incredible catch.
Allie Stymist with, right now, I would put that up there for play of the tournament.
Definitely defensive play of the tournament. I'll tell you.
Oh.
That was incredible. On her horse, that looked like trouble and did not slow down and popped right up. Got that ball back into the infield with a runner on first. That was incredible.
Emily Fournier had to go back to first base. She was almost all the way around second, thinking that ball was going to drop in. That's going to bring up Emmy Seiki. Seiki 0 for 1 with a walk. And
And we remember Seiki from Tokyo.
yes. And again, that update on the Battle of Ontario. Again, the winner will go on to play Manitoba for 5th and 6th. 1-1 tied in the second. And that one will hook foul. So the count will now go to 1-1 on Seiki.
Horizon Sem from Manitoba was injured in that game. Needed help to get off the field,
Oh,
so
no.
I don't know if we have an update on her, but unsure she'll be in that game this afternoon.
Yeah, it's
A slide at home, and she must have turned an ankle or something, but
Oh,
unable
no.
to get back to her feet. Tried to get up and fell back down.
and if a baseball player stays down, you know there's
Yeah.
something wrong. 1-2 now the count as Seiki takes that curveball in for a strike. Katie Hagen ahead in the count yet again. Here's the 1-2, grounder, and it'll get through the right side of the infield. Fournier will advance to second base.
Had to step over that ball.
Yeah. And so Seiki gets the single. That'll bring up Rain Padgham. Padgham reached on a fielder's choice and scored the first run of the ball game. She also lined out a hard line drive right at Julia Konigshofer. Konigshofer, I don't think she had to even move her feet to make the catch.
Just put her glove in front of it.
Yeah, she was positioned pretty much perfectly and gets herself to the exact same spot, and this time it's a little more towards the middle of the field. It gets through, turning third and heading for home is Fournier. That ball's going to get all the way back to the plate, and on the throw home, advancing to second is Padgham. So Padgham with the RBI single. Seiki gets around to third. Fournier comes in to score, and British Columbia back in front by a score of 3-2 with 2 away here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Big hit by Rain Padgham there.
Absolutely. It was a rocket.
That brings up Stacy Fournier. She's still looking for her first official at-bat of this game, as she's been to the plate twice and walked both times. That one popped almost straight up into the
Will
air.
Copeland get there? Oh!
Copeland finds it, but not able to make the catch.
Just couldn't squeeze it. Went off the palm of her glove, I believe.
Yeah. That catcher's mitt designed to catch a big fastball coming in, not designed quite as well to catch a pop fly. Great effort though by Copeland. And again, Copeland wasn't expecting to catch in this game. She started the game at second base, but after the injury to Ali Stymist, went into the dugout, got the gear on, and catches a strike there. The count now 0-2 here on the first baseman for Team British Columbia, the 33-year-old twin of her teammate Emily Fournier, who just scored the run just a moment ago.
And there
Swing
you
and a
go.
miss.
Hagen comes with the heat.
And the 5th strikeout of the game for Katie Hagen. 2 strikeouts in this inning. But unfortunately for Team Nova Scotia, it's sandwiched around 2 hits. So a run on 3 hits, excuse me, and no errors and 2 runners left on base. We'll go to the 5th with Nova Scotia now trailing yet again by a score of 3-2 to Team British Columbia. Due up for Nova Scotia, it'll be Ali Stymist, Julia Konigshofer, and Carly Snow. Due up, if anybody gets on, then Carly Jackson. And the top of the 5th inning being brought to you by City Councilors Pam Lovelace and Lisa Blackburn. As we got a little bit of cloud cover here today, so it's not quite as hot and humid as it was earlier this weekend, but and with the rains that we had overnight, like I said, it has thrown a little bit of a wrench into the schedule. We're going to try to get back towards the original start times as much as possible. But right now, if you're just tuning in looking for the Quebec and Alberta game, again, that game as of right now has a scheduled tentative start time of 1:30. If we're able to go a bit before that, we will. The bronze medal right now tentatively scheduled for 5:30. The gold medal tentatively scheduled for 8:30. But as I was talking to Holly, our great guru and head honcho here, if we can get going a little bit earlier in any of those games, we will.
Well, the loser of the next semifinal will basically have to play a double header, and I believe they have to give the athletes an hour break in between each game, unless of course they choose not to take it. But that is at least the rule of Baseball Canada, to give them an hour of break in between each game.
Yeah, which is why that bronze medal game is tentatively scheduled for 5:30, and so. But if we can get going a little bit earlier, depending on when that second semifinal finishes, and depending on whether that team opts to take the full hour break or opts to go maybe a little bit quicker, and it all boils down to if we have to, we'll keep going right past midnight and beyond to get a gold medal winner by the end of the day today. But there's a strike to Stymist, and the count goes to 2-1. Ontario won, the senior team leading the Ontario 2 developmental team 6-1 now in the bottom of the second inning.
I wonder how often they play each other.
I was talking to one of the Howarth sisters. I can't remember whether it was Lauren or Emma, but I was talking to one of the Howarth sisters at the hotel this morning, and I asked her, are you excited to play against, as Stymist gets that one through, are you excited to play against your sister? And she said, oh yeah, of course. We don't get to play against each other that often. We play on the same club team together.
Exactly.
So these two teams don't play against each other all that often, partly because
players come from everywhere.
Yeah, when you're talking about an Ontario-based team, you got players coming down from North Bay or Thunder Bay and Ottawa.
Yeah.
And so they don't get each of these teams together that often to play against each other that often. So the Howarth sisters is going to be a bit of a treat for them to.
Yeah, good for them.
As it looks like we're going to have a pitching change here.
I hate to be the parent in that situation.
Oh. That's when you just cheer for it to be a good game.
Yeah, exactly. If it could finish tie somehow.
Yeah. You look at the Kachuk brothers, and when they play against each other, and they show Mom in the stands with the jersey cut in half. And exactly. As we see a pitching change here for Team British Columbia, it is Sarah Pengelly moving on to the mound from second base.
Was she in second?
Yeah. And it looks like it's just a straight switch. Pengelly goes from second base to pitcher, and Roche goes from pitcher to second base. So Roche will remain the player who is being replaced by the designated hitter in the hitting order, but does go in to play a position other than pitcher. As we just look to confirm that Roche does in fact go to second base and not move somewhere else.
I do believe they have a standard shortstop.
Yes, Seiki is.
Seiki is extremely solid there, so I wouldn't see her changing positions. Yeah,
and yes, indeed, Roche does go to second base. We had one switch last night in the Saskatchewan-Alberta game where Saskatchewan moved 7 of their 9 players.
Yeah, Quebec too did that. I mean, I think the yesterday developmental game, they were trying to get as many people on the field as they could. So it was a little bit of a challenge, I'll be honest. At some points, I had 4 different substitutions with, players coming on and players moving around. So it took a while, and of course, we're not granted all the change sheets that they give us as announcers. So. I think the next batter up is going to be. So you had to wait till they actually walked up to the plate to catch their numbers, but they got everybody in, and saw some really interesting stuff from Quebec too yesterday.
Great to see. And here's Julia Konigshofer now with 1 on, nobody out, top of the 5th inning. Konigshofer was hit by a pitch in the first and had an RBI single in the third. And
there's a time.
So the batter asked for time.
And the umpire thought it was a balk. Oh, okay.
Okay. So a little bit of confusion there, but
Probably first base coach, but his fault to imagine. Often players are done what they're told to do.
yeah. So now we'll get the first pitch from the new pitcher Pengelly, and that'll miss high, 1-0.
We saw Pengelly pitch the other day as well. Very good pitcher.
Yeah. All right. Now I marked that Stuymus went to first, but that was a hit, right? Or was it a walk?
Stuymus was a hit.
Yes, okay.
She hit it up the middle.
Right. Right. You're getting into the fourth day of
it
calling
blends.
games.
I agree.
And if you don't mark it down on your sheet right away, you start going, well, what did I just see happen?
Well, this is my 12th game. Well, 11th and a half, I guess, with my tardiness this morning.
Yeah, I only had 3 games yesterday, so this is game number 12 for me. And
Yeah, I had 3 as well. I did 1 here with you in the morning and then 2 at Weir. And came back here to catch a bit of that that 4th game.
And what a wild one it was, indeed. 3-0 the count here on Conic Chauffeur. And there's a called strike,
pitch.
3-1.
I really like this umpire. She was very clear in her call. I think there's never any ambiguity.
That's Tanya Millette of Quebec calling balls and strikes today.
Hails from Carignan. Had a good chat with her a couple days ago.
Okay. 3-2 now the count here on Conic Chauffeur.
Carignan, just outside Montreal, on the south shore of the Montreal Island.
Okay. Launched into
That
right
should
center
land.
field. That will land and it'll keep rolling.
Oh, to the fence.
Stuymus gets to third. She's gonna be held there. So a big double by
Very
Conic
big
Chauffeur.
double.
Puts 2 in scoring position with nobody out. They had the bases loaded with 1 out last inning, weren't able to convert. A single and a double starts the inning here in the 5th and brings up the dangerous Carly Snow, the DH for Team Nova Scotia.
And as we mentioned yesterday, only 16 years old.
Yes.
Incredible power already, and I think with the continued development, she should be an incredible hitter. If she can continue this streak.
BC brings the infield in to try to cut down a run at the plate, with it being a 1-run ball game right now, and we're into the 5th inning, getting into the latter stages. Snow 0 for 2 today, so she's due. That'll miss low, 1-1 the count. Snow a pop out to short in the 1st, a ground out to 2nd in the 3rd. As Pengelly gets herself set for the 1-1 pitch. That one catches the bottom of the zone, 1-2. Snow, as you mentioned, just 16 years old, from Summerside PEI, which Summerside going to be hosting a women's event later this summer, the 16U Women's
That finds a
Nationals.
hole.
That's going to score 1. That's going to possibly score 2. No, Conic Chauffeur held at 3rd.
By her dad.
Yeah, Dad says, nope, don't go. And
I wonder if she listens to her dad as much at home as she does on the baseball field.
As a father of 3 girls, I doubt it.
I doubt it, yeah, exactly.
But a big RBI for Carly Snow ties this game again. And the potential go-ahead run for Nova Scotia at 3rd base. Runners on the corner with nobody else. And Carly Jackson, 2 for 2 on the day.
That bat has been red hot from the beginning of this tournament.
It has indeed. Whatever she's been doing with that bat, she's been taking good care of it. There's a foul tip, and that one didn't miss by a whole lot. So the 0-1 count is Pengelly out there on the mound. Again, the winner of this game goes to the gold medal final, tentatively scheduled for 8:30 tonight Atlantic time. That's 4:30 for those of you watching from BC. And the team that falls a little short here in this game will play in the bronze medal game, again, tentatively scheduled for 5:30. If we can get it going a little bit earlier, of course, Eastlink TV will be showing that game. So once you set a start time with Eastlink TV, you can't really move it earlier than that. You can move it later if you have to. But
let's hopefully we will be able to keep this on track.
Yeah. That one fouled off. The count goes to 1-2. And like I said a couple minutes ago, if we got to be on until after midnight to get a champion declared, we're going to keep going. And hopefully we don't get any more rain here, as we do have quite a bit of gray cloud above us.
Indeed we do. The wind doesn't seem to be too much of a factor. I see the flags flapping, but not like they were on Thursday. That was wreaking havoc with the outfielders.
Yeah, no, the wind is quite relatively calm here. That one, it does catch Jackson on the shoulder. So the hit batter loads the bases.
Still no outs.
Still with nobody out, as Pengelly having her struggles here. It was Roche who gave up the leadoff single. So when Stymist came in to score, that run was charged to Roche. And Pengelly is responsible for all three runners on base right now. She gave up the double to Koenigshofer. She gave up the RBI single to Snow. And she hit Carly Jackson to load the bases with nobody out. And Jada Lee, the very dangerous Jada Lee, coming up. That ball sails over her head. That'll allow Koenigshofer to score. And Nova Scotia, for the first time in this ball game, has a lead against the top team through the round robin, British Columbia. And this just goes to show, on any given day, any team...
Almost any given Sunday, if you want to reference movie titles.
Yeah. You know, you look in the major leagues, the Oakland A's, the struggles they're having, but they show that they can win a ball game. And they actually gave Tampa Bay, who was the top team in major leagues at the time, they gave Tampa Bay a run for their money in every one of those games. So that just shows that, hey, Nova Scotia, just because you're playing against the much bigger BC, doesn't matter.
You just have to play your game at this level, right? When you get here, you have to play what you're supposed to be doing, and you don't, your opponent, not that it doesn't matter, you have to prepare for them, but, focus on what you have to do well, and that usually helps to bring success.
Jada Lee 1 for 2 right now, and down in the count 1-2. Lee with the double in the fourth, flew out in the second.
And
that ball gets thrown away.
Good cover by the left fielder.
And Rain Padgham coming in and making sure that even though that ball got away from McKinley, Snow not able, and Snow, because she had to dive back in.
Exactly. I believe if Snow could have been able to stay on her feet, she might have been able to score on that one. But
2-2 the count now.
Picking yourself off and turning yourself around, not always easy.
So Nova Scotia with the lead 4-3, a chance to add some insurance with runners second and third and nobody out. Swing and a miss there, and that'll be the first out of the inning. First strikeout for Pengelly, and second strikeout overall for British Columbia pitching in this game. And that is the first out of the inning, brings up Rayleigh Nickerson. Nickerson 0 for 2. Again, the winner of this game will play the winner of Quebec 1 and Alberta. That game will start as soon as possible following this one. Of course, we'll need time for them to reset the infield and then give each team time to do their infield. Although both British Columbia and Nova Scotia had a chance to do an infield this morning and both declined to help speed things up a little bit there. So they may ask.
You've already played a lot of baseball at this point, right? Maybe that infield is not as necessary when you've, yesterday I think, Alberta, yesterday I think played 2 games, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah, they played twice yesterday, so this will be their third game in about 27 hours between when the start times were of all the games. As we see a couple players heading down to the Nova Scotia bullpen, it looks like it is Jenna Jackson holding the catcher's mask, so that means that it is Julia Konigshofer who will be warming up to pitch.
Hagen's been doing pretty well, I believe. And Hagen is 23, so there's no limit on the amount of pitches that she can
Although
deliver.
because she did pitch on Thursday, she might not just have as much of an arm left with only 2 days rest.
The way she throws it is very... Whoa!
What a catch there by Sawkins.
Yeah.
And she says to Allie Steinmist, hey, you can do a nice one in the bottom of the fourth. I'll do something just as good here in the top of the fifth.
Yeah, that was a great catch. Charging hard on it, judged it super well, didn't hesitate, right? A hesitation there would not have gotten her there on time.
And that'll bring up Leah Copeland. Copeland still waiting for her first official at-bat as she was hit by a pitch in the third, scored the first run for Nova Scotia, walked in the fourth, and now comes up here in the fifth and takes the first pitch ball from Sarah Pengelly.
And Copeland, not a tall player, so a very tight strike zone.
Copeland, one of the younger players for Team Nova Scotia from Fall River, just 18 years old. Fall River, she's one of the players who doesn't even have to worry about the hotel room. She's able to stay at home. And
well, I heard that even the Nova Scotia team was all staying in hotel rooms. You know, just team bonding, I think, is a great part of that as well.
Oh, for sure. You look at some of the hometowns of some of these players. Hammonds Plains, I mean, right here.
Yeah, that's where I live.
Fall River, Dartmouth.
Lower
Sackville, and then you've got some from Kentville and Amherst, and of course the players brought in from out of province.
Yeah, Jada Lee from Newfoundland. And
there's a swing and a foul tip. So the count 2-2 here on Copeland. But yeah, part of that whole experience of being part of the team is hanging out in the hotel together and going for the team dinners and all those sorts of things, and helps to really create the memories as well as
especially since they don't get together so often, the provincial teams, right?
Exactly.
Ooh, that was a close one.
Just missed, and the count runs full. 3-2.
3-2, 2 outs. Runners moving on this one, you think?
Well, not with them being only at second and third. Since it wouldn't be a force play anywhere. And that one does miss. And walks the bases loaded, bringing up Avery Smith. Smith 0 for 2, struck out in the third, flew out to center in the fourth. Nova Scotia 2 runs in the third, 2 more here in the fifth. For British Columbia, it was 2 runs in the first and 1 run in the fourth to bring us to where we are right now. Nova Scotia 4-8-0, BC 3-5-0. And a first pitch strike to Avery Smith. Pengelly gets ahead in the count here. And this a key turning point at bat in this game, top of the fifth inning. That one misses down in the dirt, 1-1.
Yeah, Pengelly can't afford a walk here.
Nova Scotia carrying a lead for the first time in this semifinal game.
I'm sure Smith would love to hit one, though.
Oh, would she ever?
Really big gap in right center.
Sawkins shaded a little bit towards left. There's a strike in the count, 1-2. Emily Fournier playing pretty much straight away right field, and Sawkins shaded a bit towards left center, so there is that gap in right center. But if anybody's got the speed to chase down a ball, it is Tess Sawkins.
I think that's probably a reason why they have that gap. Sawkins has great wheels.
Fouls that one off, and the count remains 1-2.
I think he caught her in the chin.
Yeah. But Avery Smith is tough. She's going to stay right in there. Snow at third, Jackson at second, Copeland at first, 2 away.
Oh,
Grounder.
This is going to be tough. Oh, easily handled.
Yeah, Pengelly very athletic, coming off the mound, gathers that ball up and gets the third out of the inning, but not before Team Nova Scotia puts up 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and the bases left loaded. And for the first time in this game, as we mentioned, Nova Scotia leads BC. It's 4-3 going to the bottom of the 5th. Due up in the bottom of inning number 5. It's 5, 6, and 7 for BC. That'll be the catcher, Jen Gilroy, the pitcher, Sarah Pengelly, and the third baseman, Vanessa McKinley. And the bottom of the 5th inning sponsored by East Coast Paving and Atlantic Asphalt. And we'll take a quick look at the update. We're still in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and the big sisters are giving it to the little sisters and then some. 14 runs by the Ontario senior team over the Ontario developmental team in the 2nd inning alone. 14 runs on 11 hits, 2 errors committed by Ontario too. And we're getting close to the point where, yep. And we're going to get a special guest coming in here for a moment, so we're going to ask Eric to step aside again. That's what you get for showing up late, Eric. We kick you out of your seat. Oh, there we go. As we have a special guest joining us here for the bottom of the 5th inning, and head coach of Team Canada. For those people who don't know who you are, give us a quick introduction.
Hey, I'm Anthony Pluta. I was the pitching coach for the last couple of years with Team Canada, and just named head coach this year.
Anthony, first thing I got to ask you about, how impressed are you with what you've seen here this weekend?
It's been really good baseball. I've seen some good hitters, good pitchers, good fielders, and some surprises, girls that weren't on our radar that now are.
And I know that's probably going to make your decision-making by the end of the night tonight that much more difficult. I don't want to get you to tip your hand too much, but it's going to be 20 players by the time we're done.
Correct. 20 players, I guess 2 hours after the end of the last game. It'll be the roster will be announced.
And I know a lot of difficult decisions is probably going to come down right to what you see in a gold medal game before you make those absolute final decisions.
That is so true. It's not an easy time right now, that's for sure.
As that one driven out to center field, but moving over and making the catch is the center fielder, Ellie McCauley. I got to ask you about one play in particular that we saw last inning. Allie Stymist laying out there in left field. I called it at the time as the play of the tournament, the way she laid out for that one. That was a beautiful catch.
Unbelievable. It was a absolute great play in left field, especially to come back after getting hit like that behind home plate and making that play.
An absolute stellar performance by her. And you mentioned you were the pitching coach for Team Canada. Talk a little bit about the transition from being a positional coach to being the head coach and how that has been for you.
It's wanting to watch everything that's happening in the game. It's an exciting one.
Yeah.
It's an interesting transition in that there's a lot more responsibility and a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that I didn't even think about when I was a pitching coach.
And of course, not only are you responsible for the pitching, now you got to think about the hitting, you got to think about the position play, you got to think about all these different things, plus those other responsibilities like coming and chatting with me during a game.
Exactly.
And to take us through your transition, first off, from being a player to then being a coach, because that happened for you a few years ago as well.
It did. I retired from professional baseball in 2012 and then moved to Canada, actually. I was originally from the U.S.
We won't hold that against you.
I hope not. It's been 1 year, like last week, since I became Canadian. So it's nice to be able to say, hey, I'm actually Canadian, not just a resident here. But coming from being a player and then coaching's always been a passion. And I have 3 daughters. So when I had the opportunity to talk to Andre Lachance, who was the head coach at the time, about coaching the women's team, it was, hey, I've got daughters. I would love an opportunity to come and coach. I want to see what it's like. I've coached boys for so long, and what a cool opportunity for hopefully my daughters and anybody else's daughters that have an opportunity to come and play baseball.
Slow roller to the shortstop, and Julia Conachow for a good decision there not to try and make a throw that probably wouldn't have gotten there in time anyway, with Sarah Pengelly with the good wheels. So an infield single here in the bottom of the 5th inning with 1 out puts the potential tying run at first base, brings up Vanessa McKinley. The state of the women's game, and we've been saying it so much all weekend long, this tournament here just shows how good Canada Baseball has, or Baseball Canada has been at developing the women's game. We've got so many talented players.
It's true, and I would say more so the provinces themselves. I mean, we as the overarching NSO, Baseball Canada, we only get to see the ones that we pick. We don't have a lot of development camps or things like that on the women's side. And it's the provinces that are doing a phenomenal job of developing these girls, and we appreciate everything that they do.
And the neat thing about this tournament, because it is an invitational, Nova Scotia doesn't have to just draw within Nova Scotia. They can pull a couple players from PEI, a couple players from New Brunswick, and Jada Lee from Newfoundland Labrador. I have been singing her praises all weekend long. Everybody's been singing her praises all weekend long. That 13 strikeout performance yesterday, that was just incredible.
It was fun to watch. She's she definitely has some talent. She has some room to grow as well, which is awesome. I mean, she's only 17
yeah.
or 18 years old, so it'll be nice to watch that progression and watch her grow as a pitcher and as an athlete for sure.
And I know that is one of the things that you're thinking about when you're looking at Team Canada for this event in Thunder Bay. You're looking at a player who's only 17 or 18, and you're thinking, we've got time to earmark that player for the future. We don't necessarily need to worry about getting them onto the roster right now today if they're not quite ready, and we got somebody else who's got a little bit more experience underneath them.
Correct, especially in a World Cup year where this year is important. We're hosting, which is very nice, but we don't want to go into a tournament and not win. We want to go in and compete, and we do want to give some experience to those younger athletes that'll have a chance to progress with the team, but we also want to come in and compete, and that's going to take a mixture of both, a little bit of that senior leadership or girls who have been on the team in the past, and some of the young girls to come up and can help us.
Well, I want to get, this game here is so tight, it's still anybody's game, but I want to get your thoughts on this next game coming up between Quebec and Alberta. Alberta having to play that extra game last night and that extra wild game last night as well. Your expectations on what we are all going to see in that game, next semifinal coming up.
Oh, well, I know when you're in a tournament like this and you start to get near the end, your pitching gets pretty thin and everyone's tired. They're long days. I mean, I think me and the coaching staff are here 14 hours a day for the last couple days, and I don't think we see the girls not here either. Even when they're not playing, they're watching the games, they're scouting, they're seeing what's happening. So they're long days, they're tiring days, and I think we're going to see a couple of teams that are going to grind and work hard to try and take away a win.
Just a quick note, Michelle Roche has moved into the batting order. She was the pitcher earlier. When she moved to second base, she moves into the batting order in the spot that was taken by DH Taylor Chenard. So this is the first at-bat of the day for Michelle Roche. When I was talking to Chris earlier, Chris, your pitching coach for this year, he said one of the things that you have to look at, obviously, for pitchers is pitchers that you can put in multiple roles, because with only a 20-person roster, you have to think about, I need to be able to use this person as a pitcher, but I might also need to use them playing second base or playing center field or use them as a hitter sometimes. So those are the sorts of things that we are seeing so much of, is our pitchers who are also good position players elsewhere.
Correct. And sometimes, too, they may be a very good position player for their province, but as a whole, they may not be one of the best that we see in a position, but maybe a really good pitcher, or vice versa, a good position player that may not pitch. But it does give us that option.
So, and we saw earlier in this game the importance as well of having at least 2 and sometimes 3 players who are going to be able to play that backstop position as well.
Correct. I mean, catcher is is supposed to be the captain of the field, and is such an important part of how baseball is played. Obviously, without a good catcher, you're going to give up a lot more runs. Balls will get by. They control and call the game, and if you have multiple, you're in a good place.
As we got 2 runners on, 2 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Nova Scotia leading at 5-3. I'm joined once again by the head coach of Team Canada for this Baseball Canada women's team. Big event coming up in Thunder Bay. Have you been up to Thunder Bay before to check out where that game's going to be taking, or that tournament's going to be taking place?
I have, yes. We played a friendship series against the U.S. last year,
yeah.
and it was a wonderful experience having that host committee there in Thunder Bay. They're absolutely amazing. The food at Lakehead University was actually quite decent. Our housing was great, and looking forward to go back.
And it's going to be a great event. Take us through the dates again for the people who are up in the Thunder Bay area who might want to go and catch a few games.
Oh, see, now you're putting me on the spot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We leave here on the 4th. I believe the tournament starts on the 8th and runs through the 13th. It's 5 games. We have the late night games every night, trying to get under the lights and hopefully draw a bit of a crowd. So if you are in the area, come check it out. Come watch us play. It's going to be some exciting baseball.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in Thunder Bay in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you so much.
And we had the bottom of the 5th inning. There were no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. We'll go to the 6th inning. Nova Scotia continuing to lead it by a score of 4-3 and due up for Nova Scotia in the top of the 6th. It'll be the top of the order. Ellie McCauley, Ali Stymist, and Julia Koenig-Schofer. And if anybody gets on, then the designated hitter, Carly Snow. And Eric back joining us now, Eric Fagier. And it was great to get a chance to talk to the head coach of Team Canada. And so exciting for Canada to get to host the World Cup next summer and get to host this qualifying event this summer. They want to go in through the front door, obviously, but they know they do have that safety net just in case.
As the host team, yeah, but I think the Canadian pride, typical Canadian pride, you want to make it on your own merits, not just because you have the keys to the house.
As Ellie McCauley steps in, McCauley 1 for 3 with a run scored. As out there for her 2nd inning of work is Sarah Pengelly.
She settled down, had a tough first couple of hitters, but seems to have caught up in the last, this is her, 3rd hitter that she seems to be a little bit more control.
1-0 the count on McCauley. Whoops.
Oop.
I was a little remiss in doing my job here since you had to step away. So there we go. Top of inning number 6, still 4-3. And the top of the 6th inning is brought to you by Cars R Us. If you need a new or used vehicle, visit Cars R Us for all your automobile needs. 2-0 the count here on McCauley. That one skips in, and the count goes to 3-0. And, I was talking to the pitching coach, Chris, earlier, talking to the head coach, Anthony, just now, and we had Kate on yesterday. I do not envy them the decision of trying to somehow pare down this field of great players that we've got into the 20 that they're going to bring with them to Thunder Bay in a couple weeks' time.
I think they already have a good core of players that they've already, we see many Team Canada players already here. It's rounding it out, I think that. And then, the differences between 18 and 24 must be impossible to sort out. I know, just doing so at the minor level as a coach, and I've been also a coordinator, where helping develop the teams and divide them to make them as even as possible. And you sometimes have to almost toss a coin.
And like Anthony was mentioning, you got some players here who are only 17, so you might not want to take them necessarily yet. As Pengelly gets off the mound again, that's the 2nd consecutive out by the BC defense that has been Pengelly getting off the mound.
1-3.
And so that'll bring up Ali Stymist. Stymist is 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. And also that defensive play.
Incredible catch.
And, I've got the feeling, and it's a little bit of that home team pride. I've got the feeling that Stymist is one of those players that is going to, if she doesn't make it, she will at least be in the debate.
In the debate, for sure.
For when you got to pare it down to just 20. And when it is just 20, it is so important to have players who can, like Stymist, play multiple positions and hit well.
And play them well.
Yes, exactly.
She's not just filling a gap in the lineup.
She was great behind the plate, and as she showed in this game, is great out in left field. That pitch misses outside. 1-1 the count here on Stymist. Nova Scotia ahead 4-3 in the top of the 6th inning of this semi-final matchup here at the 2023 Baseball Canada Women's Championship Tournament. There's a grounder picked up by Roche across for the second out of the inning as Stacy Fournier makes the catch at first base. That'll bring up Julia Koningshofer. Koningshofer 2 for 2, a single, a double, an RBI, a run scored, and hit by a pitch. So, and playing very good at shortstop. So.
Yeah.
Another one of those ones who, you know, you look at her counterpart at shortstop. That's one that we know that Baseball
Seiki.
Canada will not be picking because Emmy Seiki would not be eligible. But
Plus, she said she was going back to Japan at the end of this tournament, right?
So yeah, when there's A, the citizenship factor, and B, not available because she's in Japan, you know, that
kind of makes it hard.
Yeah. But, you know,
but we've seen some great shortstops throughout all of these games.
You look at Fredland out of Saskatchewan. You look at Koningshofer right here out of Nova Scotia. You look at Ainsley Lane for Ontario, too. And, I mean, that's the developmental team for Ontario. And that's still a great player, you know.
Yeah,
and
the Alberta, no, Manitoba.
Yes.
got her here.
As I flip through my lists here, Hepner.
Hepner, yes. Yeah. Very, very good. Yeah, there's been some. And that's another very important position, right?
Yeah.
You want your shortstop to be first sure gloved, right? That's the you know, we see them in the MLB. They're not the best hitters sometimes, but they can definitely field the ball and, you know, manage a situation in a game.
Yeah. And that, you know, shortstop, both middle infield positions, you got to have. You've got to have that skill. 3-1 the count here on Koningshofer. She'll foul that one off, so it'll run the count full. 2 away here, top of the 6th inning. Again, if you're just tuning in expecting to join the Alberta-Quebec game in progress, this is the first semifinal between BC and Nova Scotia. Alberta and Quebec will get going shortly after this one, probably about half an hour, 40 minutes between the end of that game and the start of, or the end of this game and the start of that one, as second strikeout for Pengelly, third strikeout overall for BC pitching. And it's a 3-up, 3-down, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. BC trailing by a score of 4-3, and it is the top of the order. Tess Sawkins, Emmy Seiki, and Rain Padgham due up. And if anybody gets on, then we're looking at Stacy Fournier. In the bottom of the 6th, brought to you by the proud supporters Dexter Construction and McLeod Signs. And as we were talking about, the next semifinal, tentative start time, they had talked about being around 2:30, with it being 1 o'clock right now. And again, all these times that I'm saying are just Atlantic time, so wherever you're watching from,
do your math yourself.
We trust you to do your own conversions. Alberta and Quebec hopefully we'll be able to move our start times up a little bit here as the day goes on and try and get a little bit back to where our original start times were. But if you are just tuning in, we did have heavy rains overnight in Halifax, and the rain went a little bit into the morning, so it took us a little bit longer to get the field ready. But how about our grounds crew and the work that they did to get this field into the shape that it's in today? It has been beautiful here. No issues with the field causing a problem with anything in this game so far.
It is a little soggy, so it must be slowing down balls hit, especially the ones that hit in the grass infield. I'm sure that's a factor. But otherwise, you don't see divots, puddles, or any of that, right? They were here, and I know, just speaking with Holly Blanchette, she was here at 6:15 this morning, so I'm sure if she would be dragging a rake across. That's her dedication to this tournament.
Yeah, and as I had the former executive director of Baseball Canada here with me, and one of the things he said was, when she asked me to be the Baseball Canada representative for this event, there was no way I could say no. And
I don't think anybody can say no to Holly.
No, absolutely not. Here we are, bottom of the 6th inning. Tess Sawkins up to bat. She'll ground that one right to
well played.
Smith at first base, and Smith will win the race over to the bag.
That hopped at the very last second. Great adjustment.
Yeah, very well done by Avery Smith. That'll bring up Emmy Seiki. Seiki 1 for 2 with a single, a walk, and a ground out so far. And I've mentioned this a couple times. And I'm just noticing, I've noticed it a couple times in this game. Emmy Seiki, and maybe it's a tradition in baseball in Japan, before she steps into the batter's box, always gives a bow to the umpire.
Yeah, a little bow to the umpire. I noticed that as well in our game that we were doing with BC, I believe, on Friday.
Yeah, just shows how...
a little reverence, a little respect.
And, you know...
I like that. I think that's...
And that part of Japanese culture where, you know, the respect to be shown to, in this case, the umpire is so important. And
no, I really like that. I think that... I don't know if that would ever translate here in North America, but I really like that they do that. Yeah. Having been an umpire in my previous life.
1-2 now the count on Seiki.
If I could throw you out, you should be bowing.
Somehow I think there are a few players who would beg to differ on that. 2-2 now the count on Seiki, as still out there on the mound is Katie Hagan. Here with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Oh, well hit.
Deep right field, going back, way back, and that is gone. Emmy Seiki with a game-tying home run. Just the second home run we've seen at this ballpark.
What do you think? Amy weighs like 105 pounds, maybe?
Possibly, and there's another bow as she comes in to cross the plate.
Yeah, bows her teammates. That's very cool.
And we are all tied up again. Rayleigh Nickerson had no chance at that one, as that one cleared the fence in straightaway right field.
Yeah, as soon as that got off her bat, I was, it felt like it had the range and the speed to get there.
And that is not a wind-assisted home run
Absolutely not. If anything, the wind is blowing in from what the flags are showing us.
Yeah, and if it's 300 to right down the line and 325 to straightaway center, I'd say there it's about 310.
310, 315, yeah, I think that's a good estimate.
And she got every single one of those feet and then a couple. That brings up Rain Padgham. Padgham with an RBI single in the 4th, reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the 1st, lined out in the 3rd.
What a great game.
Is ahead in the count here, 3-0. And there's ball 4. So Rain Padgham with the 1-out walk in this tie ball game. The potential go-ahead run at first base. And as we are in the bottom of the 6th inning, you start using terms like potential go-ahead run. And I think we're going to see a pitching change here as head coach Mike Konigshofer bringing out the lineup card with him as he comes out to the mound. And
Higgin can actually, leave with her head held up quite high. I mean, one home run, sure, but she pitched really well, very combative. Still throwing really hard, though, right? I mean, for that ball to hit the way that it had to have been coming in pretty hard.
And she is going to stay in the game. 116 pitches, 100.
It's hard to tell, yeah. It's one in the teens for sure.
Yeah. And she's doing it on just 2 days rest. She pitched on Thursday and is back out there on the mound today. And now she's got to face Stacy Fournier. Or Stacy Fournier, excuse me. You're Fournier.
Yeah, exactly. Unless I'm batting.
Yeah. I saw the F, knew it was a French name, and just the wrong one ended up coming out.
Mike.
Yeah.
I'm in your head.
Yeah, you're living up here rent-free. Fournier walked twice, came around to score one of those 2 times. She's also struck out once, one of 5 strikeout victims of of Hagen. And Padgham able to get down to second with the stolen base. So the potential go-ahead run in scoring position here with one away in inning number 6. Quick update from the other field. It's now 16-2 for Ontario 1 over Ontario 2. So that's still in the 3rd inning, which means that one likely will end after the 4th.
It's 15 by 4?
15 by 4, yeah. Grounder to second, over to first in time. Padgham gets to third base on the play, but Fournier grounds out, does move the potential go-ahead run up a base. So that's certainly important. That'll bring up Jen Gilroy. Gilroy with a 2 RBI double in the first, struck out in the 3rd and flew out in the 5th. And that flyout, of course, was the one that was caught on the brilliant layout dive by Ali Stymist. And another one out to Stymist, and that's going to drop in front of her. That will score the go-ahead run, and BC takes back the lead. It is now 5-4. That's 3 RBI for Gilroy in this game. And I know we're getting towards these stages where it's worth talking about. If nothing else, you've got a 5-4 game and one person has 3 RBI, even if they did nothing else all game, you got to take that into consideration. And then throw in the fact that Gilroy has been the catcher in this game and has done a fantastic job behind the plate, catching for not only Michelle Roche, but also for Sarah Pengelly. Right now, in my mind, somebody else has to prove to me that they deserve to get put in front of Jen Gilroy.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a change. Konigshofer stopped at the umpire on the way in, and it looks like his daughter is handing her glasses. So
yeah. And Julia was warming up in the bullpen one of the earlier innings while Nova Scotia was at bat. And a huge round of applause for Katie Hagen.
Yep, the fans saw the fight that she brought to this game.
And Hagen.
Gilroy is, I think Gilroy is the oldest athlete in this tournament.
Yes,
she's
you are
33
correct.
years old.
33, yeah. And Hagen just going over to switch gloves. She'll come in. She'll stay in the game. And just waiting to see what position she ends up going to. She'll stay in the infield. It's just whether other people will move around within the infield. We have to wait and figure out.
I think she's played some second in this tournament,
yeah.
So that would probably be the logical place for her to wind up.
And we'll just see how they move the defenders around here in the bottom of the 6th inning. As Julia Konigshofer gets herself warmed up. We've seen her pitch already in this tournament as well. And she's going to be asked to try and hold her team to within just 1 run.
Yep, Hagen does, I believe, stay in.
Yeah,
she's going to short.
Hagen will go to short as Jada Lee, who is playing second base right now, has been playing second base a few times in this tournament, so you don't want to move her around.
We saw her at short on the very first day.
Yes.
Which wasn't the best of results for
yeah.
Nova Scotia. Started off with a really tough game, not getting to the 7th inning, but have bounced back really well. I think, since then they've been rolling downhill, as they say.
Yeah. Opened with the win over Quebec 2 in the morning on Thursday. Then dropped that decision to Saskatchewan, that tough game that one of those games that just nothing went their way.
Exactly.
And then bounced back with victories over Manitoba, victories over Ontario 2. And then that is what brought them here to this game against BC for the semifinal. And Julia Konigshofer on the mound taking on Sarah Pengelly. Pengelly 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. She's also walked. And that one just misses down low, 3-0 the count. And as we look ahead to the top of the 7th with Nova Scotia needing to score at least 1, it'll be Carly Snow, Carly Jackson, and Jada Lee. So the heart of the order for Nova Scotia. That one misses low, ball 4. And that puts runners at first and second with 2 away, excuse me. And brings up Vanessa McKinley. McKinley 0 for 2 with a walk. The winner will play for gold. The losing team will play for bronze. I don't want to call them losers because they won't be losers, they will be the losing team in this game, unfortunately. And there's a chop gathered up by Lee. Lee has a little bit of trouble but recovers in time.
Great stretch.
What athleticism by Lee to recover after the bobble. What athleticism by Smith to reach out and make that grab. And you see the replay there. What a play by Avery Smith to extend and make that grab. And so, unfortunately for Nova Scotia, though, there was 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, 2 runners left.
I believe.
2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. We'll go to the top of the 7th. Nova Scotia needs 1 to tie and 2 to take back the lead. It is British Columbia 5, Nova Scotia 4 here in the first semifinal of the 2023 Baseball Canada Women's Championship Tournament. Due up for Nova Scotia, as we mentioned, Carly Snow, Carly Jackson, and Jada Lee, the heart of the order, 4, 5, and 6. Anybody gets on, then Rayleigh Nickerson. And as we go to the top of the 7th, if you're hungry after the game, visit Boston Pizza in Bears Lake. Unfortunately, I won't have time to because we're going to go right from one semifinal to the other. There will be a little bit of time
Boston
in
Pizza's
between.
listening. We're sitting in the
right
above the.
With DoorDash, can you say deliver to the ball field?
Yeah, ball field. I've done it. I see our friends at Eastlink seem to have DoorDash points.
Yeah, there we go. As we've got a minute here, we've talked about this a few times, but it bears repeating. Women's baseball, a fan of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
If you just watch Major League Ball, and someone says to you, hey, come watch this women's game, it's going to be pretty good. It has not disappointed in any way, shape, or form. I would put this game up against any Major League Ball game for entertainment value any day of the week.
I have to agree. Great ball. Every game that we've had, a couple that got away from some teams, but the compete has always been there. Like, no one is just showing up and going through the motions.
And we've got Katie Hagan, who was the starting pitcher, after moving to shortstop, takes Carly Snow's place in the batting order. Snow was the DH.
I don't agree with that decision. Snow has been so hot. I'm not taking anything away from Hagan, but Snow has come through so many times at the plate.
And I think perhaps part of this is to get the lefty up against a right-hander, whereas Snow is a right, no, this is a righty-righty matchup, so that takes that away because Snow is a left-handed hitter. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-1. Let me double-check that. Yeah, Snow is, Snow hits right, as does Hagan, so no difference there.
Yep.
And like you said, it's not like you're losing much of a step to go from Snow to Hagan.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just Snow has been swinging such a great bat through this whole tournament.
And maybe part of it is that Hagan is 23 and Snow is just 16, and you want to try and shield her from some of that pressure. The ball in the dirt, Hagan swung, so she's got to head down to first. But it is a strikeout, and that is the 4th strikeout by BC pitching, 3rd by Pengelly since coming in relief, and that'll bring up Carly Jackson. Jackson has reached base all 3 times, a pair of singles and hit by a pitch. And right now, Jackson represents the potential game-tying run. Winner of this game plays for gold. Team that falls short still gets to play for a medal later today. as that one misses. 1-0 the count on Carly Jackson, the third baseman for Team Nova Scotia. (5-4) BC. And there's a strike at the knees, 1-1 the count. Nova Scotia 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth. BC 2 in the first, 1 in the fourth, 2 in the sixth. The 1-1 misses low, 2-1. We talked about my choice for BC being Jen Gilroy. I'm going to reserve making a decision on Nova Scotia until we see whether they make a comeback or not.
Steinmetz with that great catch and just always dangerous at the plate. So many great players. It's hard to pick one, I think.
It is indeed. Konigshofer going, going 2 for 3 at the plate, including an RBI and a run scored. Copeland getting on base all 3 times. Didn't get a hit, but she was hit by a pitch and walked twice. As there's the throw over as McKinley gets the ball across the diamond for the second out of the inning, and we're down to the last chance for Nova Scotia in the form of the 17-year-old phenom, Jada Lee. Lee 1 for 3 with a double.
Struck out 13 yesterday.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's just 7 innings, right?
Yeah. Yes. And it wasn't even the full 7 innings, as she ended up being, got the 13 in 6 innings.
Wow.
Or no, sorry, she got the 13 in 6 2/3. Carly Snow came in and got the last out of the game. So Jada Lee up to bat here. Nova Scotia's last chance. The Newfoundlander standing in, takes a strike in the count, 0-1. And again, just 17 years old. You think about what she has accomplished in this tournament at 17 years old at the senior level. That one misses low, 1-1.
We're so blessed to see all these athletes.
Oh, we are. I made the comment during yesterday's game, and I stand behind it. If we see the first ever female player in Major League Baseball's pyramid system, that's one who I would say might be the one to break that barrier.
There's a, the way that she throws and the way that she showed at the Canada Games last year, the way that she struck out many men. Yeah, that I believe that, if she specializes in pitching somewhere down in her career, that could be the one.
When I was talking to the pitching coach for Team Canada, he was commenting on how well she controls her slider. If she can develop that a little bit more,
I heard that,
maybe develop a third pitch as well, she could be, I firmly believe she may not get to the majors, but she could be that first female player to get into the Major League ladder system.
Correct, the double, triple A, and there you go.
And there's a catch by Vanessa McKinley for the third out of the inning. Heartbreak for Nova Scotia, as they will have to find a way to turn around and play for bronze. But for BC, it's a trip to the gold medal game after a 5-4 victory over Team Nova Scotia. We're going to talk about the players of the game. I still say that you'd be hard-pressed to convince me that somebody other than Gilroy deserves it for BC.
Seiki came in with a nice homer, but I think that's the only hit RBI that she got.
Yeah, and for Nova Scotia, Konigshofer had a great game at the plate as well as a good game in the field. Ali Steinmetz.
Hagen pitched a hell of a game.
Hagen pitched a great game. Steinmetz, I think I would lean towards Steinmetz to a single, an RBI, a run scored.
A great catch,
an incredible catch. And fighting through an injury in the first inning and did not miss a beat. I think my choice would have to be Steinmetz for Nova Scotia and Gilroy for BC. You could make a lot of cases for a lot of other players, but those are the two that I'm going to pick. Obviously, we're not the guys who have the official decision, but those
Our
would
opinions
be my
really
picks.
don't matter,
Yeah.
but we'll see if we can steal the. Oh, it looks like number 2 is what the BC coach is flashing.
Which would be
Or
Seiki.
2-2 or 2-2.
2-2 is Stacy Fournier. She walked twice, came around to score. We'll see what they say here in a moment.
They should be a little bit more discreet.
Nova Scotia, number 21, Allie Stylish.
There you go. Good call.
Every now and then I get it right. Allie Stymist, even if it was just for her toughness in the way she came back, you could make that argument.
Absolutely.
Throw in what she did at the plate. Throw in that play in the field.
Number 2, Emmy Seiki.
And it is Seiki. That home run, I think, did put her over the top. She also had another hit. She also reached by way of the walk, so she was on base 3 out of 4 times. And look at that. She bows to her teammates. They all bow right back to her. What a show of respect for Emmy Seiki. And she's got one more game to play together as part of Team BC before heading home.
That could have been a reason with it too, right?
Yeah.
Your last chance to say thank you to a player.
And so BC will be playing for gold later tonight. Nova Scotia will be playing for bronze later this afternoon. And coming up in hopefully about 40 minutes, we'll see what the start time is that gets announced for semifinal number 2 between Alberta and Quebec. Until then, on behalf of Eric Fougier, this is Michael Petter saying may your liners hit the corners and or may your pitches hit the corners and your liners reach the fence. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back with you in just a little bit.